welcome to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Cassie Can Craft.
Hi.
Amazing product that you have.
Thank you.
All of my friends, so I got a couple I bought, and all of my friends are raving about it.
Oh, good.
Because just the attention to detail and the different and unique designs that you have are really awesome. How the heck did you get into 3D printing as a career?
Yeah, that's a great question. The short answer is we kind of fell into it. The longer answer is that my husband and I were both fully gainfully employed working for the man, and his job in quality inspection included them buying a 3D printer at work. And he had to fiddle with it and learn how to use it in order to make really boring fixtures.
Right.
So that they could, hold things down to a machine and measure things and all of that. And he just thought it was really cool. And so I got him a few years ago, just a really super basic entry level 3D printer. It came in a flat box, and he opened it, and it's circuit boards and wires, and so it's intimidating. It was really intimidating. And what's funny is that same time that I got him that, he bought me a paint pouring set. And so and if you're in my shop, you'll see we've got a lot of 3D printed articulated toys, but I also have a lot of artwork.
Yeah.
I have a lot of paint pours on the walls and things like that. And so these little kind of passion projects just snowballed into a full-blown career, actually, for us. And opening a store was not in the cards. It wasn't part of our plan at all. And in fact, when we opened our store, we weren't even really focused on 3D printing at all. We've only been open about 9.5 months, but it has evolved so much since we opened. We opened the end of September last year. And we only did a hard pivot to more 3D printed articulated toys starting at the beginning of this year.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah. So it's been a really fast pivot, and it has been a really fast moving, I kind of describe it like a snowball rolling downhill.
Yes.
And it's just getting bigger and faster. And we're just trying to get on board and roll with it and not fight it.
Right. So how did you get involved in the art piece, though? So with all of the background, tell us a little bit about your background in art and how that sort of manifested.
I've always been a pretty creatively minded person. I've always loved to draw and paint. I've been a photographer for 16-ish years, and I'm all self-taught in everything I do. I'm the kind of person that doesn't really like to be told what to do. And so and so, I'll learn just enough to get dangerous with something. And then I just jump in and I do it, and I start experimenting, and I figure out really quick what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And I just kind of have dabbled throughout my entire life. And I'm still dabbling. I have new art coming in the mail today that I'm excited to try. So I think that's my ADHD brain, always just looking for what's sparkly. And moving into working for myself and doing art for a career is just really opens the door and allows me to kind of follow that and find the thing that gives me that dopamine hit right now. But also, when I'm excited about a thing I'm doing and making, it makes other people excited too. So they come in and they're excited and they're happy. And it just makes me so happy to put joy out there, and help people find happiness.
And a prime example of that is a friend of mine went to your shop after I talked to her, and she talked to you about something that you didn't have. and the level of customer service that you were like, no, let's do something about that. Let's create something. Like, let's come to, like, if there's something that you want, talk to me and let's see what we can come up with. And I have to say,
Yes.
what you came up with the open mouth opossum,
Oh, yes, my
those are
hissing
so
possums.
cute. Those are like, how did,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. You know, I spend a lot of time looking for just the right things that I think people will really love, and you know, thinking of the right color schemes and the right size and how can I use it. I made those hissing possums into earrings.
That's awesome.
I know,
That's
they're
awesome.
amazing. Today I'm wearing my bee earrings, but yes, that's probably been the thing that's the most sparkly to me right now because it makes people so darn happy. So yeah, that's really wonderful to hear. You know, I really, if I can make something happen for somebody, I really want to try to do that. You know, as an example, I had a friend recently who reached out to me because her father passed. He was in a band and she wanted some sort of memorial for
Yeah.
him. You know, they've got a service coming up and she wanted something to give to her family members. And so she designed, you know, a picture of him and a saying, and I made double-sided guitar picks
Aww.
for her to hand out to her family members. And that's something she couldn't find anywhere else. She couldn't find someone to do that for her. And when I'm able to do that, you know, it's one thing putting toys and things out into the world, but when I can make something that really makes a difference for someone, like that's what fills my cup. That's really why I do this.
And you're not going to get that in a Walmart, folks.
No.
You're not. Like that's, and I talk to people all the time about the importance of supporting local and supporting the people that are hitting the ground running and doing like really cool things you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about how you came up with the idea of these animals to begin with. Was like animals sort of like the direction you always wanted to go, or was that?
Not really, no. You know, I think when people think 3D printed toys, they
Yeah.
think dragons.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you go out to, you know, markets or holiday things or whatever, and you see a person that does 3D printing, you see the dragons. So yes, we do dragons,
Yeah.
you know, because it's kind of a little bit expected, but I really want to have something for everybody. And dragons aren't for everybody. And, you know, sometimes someone just wants a fidget toy or they, you know, I love it when someone walks into my shop and they're like, you know, this isn't really my thing. But then all of a sudden they're like, they find something and they're like, that's my thing though.
Yeah.
That's my animal. I didn't know you had lobsters and lobsters are my animal. And so it's like, did I know that lobsters were going to be a super popular fidget toy? No. But I tried it, you know? It's kind of like throwing really fun spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks and seeing what other people like. And um, when I find things that people like, I just expand on that. I just run with it as far as I possibly can. And people have loved the animals. And so I'm always looking for what other animal can I add into my collection. And I have the big ones and the small ones. And I legitimately have customers that have whole little animal families, you know, because that's their thing. And, you know, when they're super excited about it, they're going to tell everyone else they know about it and their people are going to get super excited about it. And it's just going to spread so much happiness, you know? And so that's kind of why I started doing animals and stuff.
And one of the things I appreciate about the way you structure your items is that they're you're talking when you talk about like articulating,
yeah,
but they're not separate pieces.
No.
That's the part that's amazing. Like you almost like eliminate the choking hazard piece of it, which is unheard of.
Yeah, it's really great. They're really quite durable. You know, they can handle being dropped a lot of times. You know, I will let customers know when one is a little more delicate over another one, especially if we're talking for certain age ranges and things like that. And I'm doing a lot more focusing on what can I do for the really little ones. Yeah, they're breakable. If you step on them or something, you might end up having pieces of toys, but in their whole state. You're right. They print as one piece. All of the joints are together. You don't have any small pieces that are going to come off and be choking hazards. And not only that, it's the material it's made out of is PLA, polylactic acid. It's actually fermented plant starch.
I love that.
I know, isn't it great? That actually makes it industrially biodegradable, but it also makes it non-toxic. And I really, really wanted to make sure that anything we made was going to be safe for anyone of all ages because,
Yeah.
honestly, even bigger than toddlers, sometimes things go straight in the mouth.
It's unavoidable.
It
It's
is.
unavoidable.
Absolutely. And so, however anyone wants to use them, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that they're safe and happy.
How did you find out this start? Like, no, repeat what it was. You said cornstarch?
It's polylactic acid.
Polylactic acid.
Yeah, fermented plant starch.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I know. Yeah, when I first started 3D printing, I really just thought it was kind of glorified plastic thread.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people think it is. And so it's important for me to make sure that I'm not just putting a bunch of plastic junk out into the world,
Yeah.
So I really liked that piece.
The fact that it's biodegradable too and all that stuff that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. Industrially biodegradable. You can't go throw it in your composter in your backyard or anything like that. So be aware of that. But yes, it will break down over time, which is great. That also means that you probably don't want to use them as fish tank fixtures or something like that without properly sealing them first. I do get really interesting questions sometimes about how people want to use them. And it's always interesting to me to see how everybody's brains work because everybody's so different.
What's been the most interesting so far?
Oh, I'm not sure I can say that on here.
That's fine. I
get really, really interesting requests sometimes from people. Sometimes not very PG. It's interesting, but then a lot of times people just really everyone wants ducks. Right now. I don't know why everyone wants ducks. And I'm like, okay, I promise I will start looking for ducks. Ducks are on my brain. And it seems to kind of, the ball is always shifting.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun to see where that's going and try to like anticipate a little bit and bring customers what they want before they even realize they want it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And how did you end up in the space that you're in?
Sheer luck.
Sheer luck.
Yeah.
I have to hear this.
So it's been a year and a couple of months since I quit my corporate job. I was working in the corporate world, grinding away. And I kind of got to a point where it was quit or die is kind of how I describe it. I think a lot of people out there probably, unfortunately, know what that feels like.
Especially those of us who are neurodivergent.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because, I'm the person that I will make sure everything's done right. I will carry the company on my back. I will pick up the slack for the 12 other people that are not doing what I think, they're part of the job. And it was so taxing, just mentally, physically, enough to make me sick. You know what I mean? And so it kind of got to that point, and I quit. I just decided I'm at a point in my life now where I'm not going to do things I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
I will do things that I don't love doing, like taxes. Right. I have no choice in doing taxes. But, the things that I have a choice in, I'm just not going to. And so I quit my job. I didn't really have a plan. We didn't really have a savings. We just knew that we needed something new. And I was considering renting a small bit of space from someone opening a shop in another town. And my husband and I were having having lunch downtown before we were going to go and look at the space that we were maybe going to rent. And I said, just out of the blue, I said, well, let's go look at the Reed Opera House. Let's just walk around in there and see what we see. And there was an open space. And I called the building manager, and we looked at it. And the very next day, we just decided to go for it. We put a little bit of thought into it, but we're kind of in this phase of our lives where we're jumping in with both feet and getting excited about it.
And how freeing that must be. But at the same time, I would imagine kind of scary.
Terrifying.
Talk to me, because I always want to know, like, what was your first day like? When you opened your doors for the first day,
You
what did
know,
that feel like?
it was really exciting, but it was really, really scary. I put it out there. I put grand opening. I made a Facebook event. I told everybody I could tell. But you don't know. You don't know who's going to come, who's going to show up and really support you. It's never usually the people you expect.
Oh, I know. I have been learning that this whole time since I started this podcast. You never know.
You never do. And it's really interesting because the people you do expect are maybe not there.
Yeah.
Kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
But that first day, it was great. It was, I had quite a few people through. I had a lot of people really come and show me love and show me support. And but I think, it stayed pretty scary for about 4 months. To be perfectly honest with you, it was one of those things where we weren't really sure if it was going to make it. Anyone out there probably knows, that the building exists. The Reed Opera House is a building. It's downtown. But everybody says, I didn't know there was anything there.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear all the time. And not only am I in the building that people think is vacant, I'm in the basement. I'm in the corner. I'm in the dark corner of the basement. And so people really have to make an effort to find me. Yeah. And so I think that's been the scariest part of it, honestly. But when we hit 4 months, I actually almost put in my notice to close the shop. We really couldn't see how it would really work out.
Yeah.
But that's when we did a hard pivot into a lot more 3D printing. We invested in really good equipment because we know it's a fairly saturated market out there.
Yeah.
But we knew we needed to be able to stand apart. And so we invested in really good equipment and we just hit the ground running as hard as we could. And things turned around really quickly. And my husband's actually going to be joining the business full time.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's so cool.
It's crazy. It's wild. His last day at his job is going to be the 16th of August.
You're going to make me cry for
I
crying
know.
out loud. That's awesome.
I know. It's kind of like, our wildest dreams kind of unfolding in front of us. And it's another one of those things that's crazy scary for us. It's really scary for him. But again, that snowball's rolling and we got to get on board with that snowball going down the hill or it's going to leave us behind. And we might, we don't want to miss this opportunity to really make a bigger difference.
And that, it's interesting you say that because the only reason I found you is because I made a wrong turn.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
So I was walking and I was trying to get to another building and I can't even remember which building it was trying to get to. And we went into the one area and it was like downstairs and I'm like, I can't be in the right spot. And I go down and I see your sign and I see your stop. And I'm like, this is meant to be. I got to go introduce myself because I have to find out what this person is all about.
I love that.
And then when you talked about how you quit the corporate gig to take a chance, like not a lot of people do that.
No, it's, before I quit my corporate job, I believed with every fiber of my being that I had no other choice but to keep grinding away. Yeah. Because that's what you do. You get a job, you make sure that you have good insurance, you make sure that you've got a good retirement, and you just do the stuff that you are, quote, supposed to do. But you don't have to.
No.
And that's what I finally kind of woke up and was able to realize is that I don't have to. The company I was working for before still functions just fine without me. They have not gone out of business.
Yep.
And, that is one of those things that I didn't think I'd ever be able to have that kind of perspective shift. And so now one of the reasons that I wanted to be here talking with you today is because I just want to encourage people to do what they love.
Yes.
I've got, I actually have a neon sign hanging up in my shop you might have seen that says, do what you love. And, I find that I have so many more opportunities in my life now to have meaningful connections and meaningful conversations with people when they come into my shop. And I feel like I'm making a difference for some of those people sometimes, especially when they see what I've been able to do and what I've been able to accomplish, even though I was scared. It's, my stomach gets butterflies and I'm always wondering, am I doing the right thing? But I'm living by gut feel right now is what I call it. And if the gut says yes, we go for it, and we kind of ignore the head a little bit.
Yeah, which is counterintuitive, but it's almost necessary.
Honestly, it really is, because you've got it's kind of three parts of you. You've got your head, you've got your heart, and you've got your gut. And ideally, all of those things are working together for the same goal in the same direction. But I think for a lot of people, for me especially, my brain is always at war with my heart and my head. And I didn't have a great upbringing. It was a really difficult life for me, and I've got a lot of baggage. I think a lot of people do, and so if you listen to your head all the time, a lot of people have that voice that says, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Of course, that's not going to work out. And then it replays for you all the times in your life when something didn't work out as see, this is what's going to happen to you. And you really have to turn that off.
And that negative self-talk is huge.
Yes.
And it's sort of ingrained in there.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me likes to think that is almost society driven, where like the infrastructure that we have in place and all the negativity that you see everywhere else sort of creeps back into people's individual consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always try to tell people is, if you go to do things that make you happy, do things that bring you joy and productivity, as opposed to focusing on the negative and that negative self-talk. Because when you believe the negative self-talk, you limit yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't do what you could be doing. Like, I didn't do this podcast for about 15 years because of negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to finally do it. And it has been so rewarding just in this short time that I've been doing this.
That's awesome.
So, like, how did you get the decision to sort of, so if we circle back and you did that pivot to like 3D printing, like, how hard was that decision? Like, when you're talking about that conflict between your brain and your heart and your gut, was that like an easy no-brainer, or was that something like, I don't know if this is the right thing, but we're going to do it anyway?
Well, that's a hard question, because it's my husband and I both making the decisions together in this case. And I'm kind of at a point where I'm a lot more willing to take risks and things like that. And he's a lot more, I think he's following suit with me now a little bit more. But he was a lot more like, oh yeah, I don't think we can spend money and invest in that, because he had a really difficult time seeing how it was going to turn into something more. It was very amorphous for him.
Yeah.
And so we had to do this little negotiation dance where I'm a person, if I want something, I like to find a way to try to get it. I'm trying to, in my older age, be more patient, not push as hard with things, and whatnot. But, my brain just keeps working at an issue until I find a workaround, or I find this. I'm a master Jimmy rigger over here.
Yeah.
I will get the job done. It does not matter if I have the tools to do it or the knowledge or anything, it's going to get done. And so my brain keeps picking at this problem. And like I said, I'm a photographer. And so I had been wanting a really expensive zoom camera lens for a long time. I had finally bought it. I'd had it for a couple of years. I'd used it twice in 2 years, and it's a $2,000 lens. And I made the decision that I'm going to sell this lens and we're going to essentially trade it for a high-end 3D printer.
Okay.
And my husband could get on board with that because we weren't really losing anything per se. And so it's so funny because I went back and I looked at our text message chain from that time. I never delete anything. And I had said to him, how crazy would it be if we could get another one of these like halfway through next year? Today, we bought printer number 7.
Oh, that's awesome.
Today.
That's awesome. Now, do they range in size?
A little bit, yeah. So actually, anybody that is curious about seeing a 3D printer in action, pop into my shop. I have a mini printer in the shop now.
Nice.
I have it running pretty much all my open hours. It is back in my office, so you'll have to ask to peek in and see it. So I have a mini one there, and I just am making little things all day long. And then the other ones that we have at home are all fairly large. We have 2 that are capable of doing more abrasive materials like glow-in-the-dark filaments and glitter filaments. Yes, we definitely have some glow-in-the-dark stuff. I just set up a black light section, so you have to come in.
That's awesome. I have to come and see this. I so have to come and see this.
Yeah, definitely. It's very cool. If I can add glow or glitter or sparkle or something to things, I love doing it. I love like a little extra touch on something to make it a little special, which is fun. But yes, so we have 2 machines that can do those. And then we have the other 4 machines at home that they're all capable of doing multicolor printing. We actually just upgraded so that we could do that because the multicolor is really what stands us apart, I think, from a lot of the other 3D
100%.
printers. You know, is who else has, you know, little multicolored cows and lobsters and cats and all the things, you know? So
I had to buy a bunch of dragons. Like I had to.
I love that.
and really what called to me was the different color techniques. Like the fact that it's like purple and then red and then also gold at the bottom all at the same time is like I would have never thought of that.
Well, and now the tiny printer I have at the shop has a holographic build plate on it. And so anything I print on there has that same holographic stars on the bottom of it. It transfers over. So it's just, again, a little extra sparkle, a little extra touch.
Yeah. And how do you come up with the designs? Is there like a process you follow? Or?
So right now, the designs that we use are majority part from some really, really great designers out there where they do the base models for us. And we support them in their work in buying a commercial license through their Patreon, actually. And so they put out awesome new designs. I spend a lot of my time looking for new designs. A lot of designs are single color files. For example, we had little different dog shapes, and I spent one of my days off. I'm doing air quotes because I don't really have days off.
Right. We'll get to that in a minute.
But yeah, on one of my days off, I just spent all day, like pulled up a picture of a husky on the computer and I digitally colored this dog to look like a husky so that it'll be special to people. And actually, that's one of the services I offer too. If you have a dog and you want to get a 3D printed dog with the same colorings, I maybe can help you out with that. So it's stuff like that. And actually, with my husband joining the business full time, he's going to be learning some 3D modeling so that we can come out with some new proprietary designs that you won't find anywhere else. And I know we talked about how I have designs that you don't see anywhere.
Yeah.
That's just because we diversify so much. Yeah. And we want to have more than just the dragons. But yeah, right now, I'm so happy to pay people that are so talented for that.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I want to circle back to what you said a little bit because there is a little bit of something that people need to know. And part of the sacrifice that people make when they start a business is there is no time off. And you can't sort of rest on your laurels because there's always something else and something negative. It's just that you found a place that brings you joy and fills your cup while you're doing this extra work, which is a huge distinction, I think.
If you do something you love, you won't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the saying. And that's true. to an extent, I think.
Mhm.
I think the really important thing is to make sure you keep loving it,
Yeah.
which is part of the pivot that we do a lot of.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, it's part of doing things that I want to do only and not things that I don't want to do. And so if I find that I'm doing something that is feeling like work, that's my sign that I need to pivot away from that. Because ultimately, if it's something that feels like work to me and I end up not enjoying it, especially if it's something with art,
Yeah.
it's not it's not going to have the positive energy, and it's not going to turn out the way that I would really want it to turn out if I'm not enjoying the process. And so it's probably not a piece I'm ever going to sell. You know what I mean? I really find that I've got to love what I'm doing, and I've got to be excited about it. And other people get excited about it too.
100%.
Especially like if they're interested in hearing the story behind a piece or, something like that. It's just really a great way to engage people.
And I like the fact that there is a story behind every piece in your shop.
Yeah. It may be too much. I do tend to interject a lot to customers when they're looking at a certain piece because I just really want them to know what's special about it.
And I enjoy that
I'm
about
so
shopping
glad.
at your store. I really do. Because, like, when you come in, um, so for me, because I think in patterns and abstractions and me being on the autism spectrum, um, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So when I came into your store and I was like, none of this really fits. I don't understand. Because this is not like this. I've not experienced with this before. This
Mhm.
is so unique. And so when you took the time to sort of explain it to me, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And I think it's a part of the experience is to get in there and talk to you about everything that you got going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's like I was saying, I have a lot more opportunity for those meaningful connections with people. Every customer that comes in, no, they don't necessarily want to have a conversation. They don't want to know my life story. They don't want to get involved in that, and that's fine. You kind of pick up on the vibes of people and how much they really want to engage. But I think a lot of times when people are shopping in little hole in the wall places that are the person behind the counter is also the artist, is also the owner of the business, is also the everything. I think a lot of times people come in for that experience.
Oh,
They come in
100%.
because they want to meet the person behind everything. So I think that's great. I get a lot of people that are curious about what I do and why I do it, and I love sharing my story.
And is this sort of industry sort of like more of the male dominated industry to begin with? Or do you find it sort of.
Yeah, I would say that if you go out to craft fairs, holiday shows, all the places, you're going to see other people that do 3D printing out there. But yeah, I mean, I would say that there's not a lot of women out there sitting behind those desks and those booths and those tables. Um, but, I guess I never thought about that before, to be honest with you. I don't like gender roles and I don't like gender stereotypes. And
You're speaking my language.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like if you can do it, I can do it. I might be short and I might be kind of weak, but I'm going to find a way to get it done, and it doesn't matter what it is.
I love that. I love that. And so you're also out and about. So you have
Sometimes.
your store,
Yeah.
but you're also at like shows and you've done some farmers markets, I believe, right? Or.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, that's kind of my husband's end of the deal now.
Mhm.
So before the start of the year, I was the one doing all of the markets and things, and I would close up the shop and go out and do those. But now, we have so many awesome customers. We have so many loyal people that come back all the time, and I just really want to be able to be there for them,
Yeah.
and be reliable. And so my husband does all of the travel now. We stick pretty local at the moment, but he's out at Salem Saturday Market every other Saturday ish. Um, we'll be at Homer Davenport Days in Silverton. We were at Independence Days there in Independence, their
Okay.
4th of July festival.
Nice.
So we were out for that, and we're really just looking to branch out and diversify and find more places for him to kind of get out and spread the word about the shop, because um, I'm not big on throwing money out into the amorphous marketing world, because you never know what's going to happen with that. And so really our marketing plan is just get in front of people, you know?
And I quite frankly, I don't like to talk or interview people that have huge marketing budgets, because they once you've taken the marketing out of the hands of the person that is doing all of the work and that has touched the product, you'll lose that emotional connection, I always think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's more about how do we get all a dollar as opposed to how do we be more successful as a company. And I
Yeah.
think there's a distinction there.
Yeah. I get a lot of people really being grateful for my low prices. I really try to keep my prices reasonable because I want you to be able to take my art or this fidget toy or whatever it is that speaks to you. I want you to be able to take it home. I often will fudge the numbers a little bit for little kids too, if they
That's
come
awesome.
in with only X amount of dollars, because it's more important for me that they get something that makes them really happy, than it is for me to get that other $1 or $2 out of them. I'm not out here trying to get rich. Yes, we're out here trying to feed our family. And
Yeah.
yes, we're taking a huge leap to make this our full-time business, with everything that goes along with that. But, I'm having a small business now. I really see a lot more. My eyes are a lot more open to how money hungry a lot of the world
Yes.
seems to be, and how every single dollar counts, and they want your dollars at the expense of your experience,
Yes.
and I'm not about that.
100%. And you can tell the difference.
Yes.
You can tell the difference. And one of the things that I really appreciate about your business is just that the care and the dedication to the art,
Yeah.
above anything else, because you could tell, like, and for all of you folks out there who are autistic like me, you need to check this place out and get yourself something fidget from this place, because it's awesome.
And I have fidgets of all kinds. I've got quiet ones, I've got loud ones, if that's your thing, long ones, short ones. I've definitely got something for you, unless you're looking for a duck. I'm sorry. Still no ducks.
Just wait, though. Just
They're
wait.
coming. I
Just
promise.
wait.
I promise they're coming. Maybe ducks in frog hats. I'm not sure.
Oh, that would be epic.
Yes, it's bouncing around in my brain. But again, ADHD, so
Yeah.
many things are bouncing around in my brain. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. And how hard is it to be a business owner this day and age?
I didn't go to school for business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what I'm doing. Pretty much flying by the seat of my pants. So I think a lot of that is kind of scary, but it's also kind of a silver lining. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know all the things I maybe should be scared about. And that's maybe fine. I think I'm okay with that. So it's hard in the sense that commercial rents are really high.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be able to have a window to see outdoors sometimes, or be street level, or someplace with a little more foot traffic. But it's not feasible. It's a little crazy to me how building owners would rather take the loss as a tax write-off and keep the building empty than help stimulate the economy a little bit.
The missing piece to that is that if they do that, the banks won't lend them the money.
There's always something.
There's always something.
And I find in the business world, things work differently.
Oh, 100%.
For business people than they work for normal people. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. And again, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be big business. I don't think I need to know about all of that. I think my husband and I just we want to feed our family. We want to be comfortable, and we want to put fun things out there that people love. And if we can manage to do that,
Yeah.
that's enough for us.
And I wish more companies would say that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Me too.
Because like, I think at some point we lost this connection to small business over big business.
You get there's a lot of lip service.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words being said that are in support of the small business, but when it really comes down to it and you look at where people are really spending their dollars, it's Amazon.
Yep.
It's all of the big box stores. It's what's the easiest thing. And I get it. I mean, I understand wanting to sit at home and not have to go out and look for something, especially because this day and age, when I have gone out in search of something, I can never find the thing I'm in search of.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people are just really like jaded by that. They're like, well, I'm not going to be able to find anything good anyways. So why bother even doing that? I'm just going to get on my phone. Everyone's got a computer in their pocket. So they don't have to get out there. And no, I don't sell online. You can only buy if you come and see me in person. And so, I think that's probably the hardest part about it, is just really getting people in and keeping people excited enough to keep coming back.
Yeah. And so remind people exactly where you're at.
So I am in the Reed Opera House, and that is right downtown. It's right by, Venti's and Bentley's and all of those places in there. So I'm in Reed Opera House, and I'm down in the basement. I'm right next to Barber's Underground. My shop is Cassie Can Craft. Look for the rainbow sign.
Yes.
You will find me. I usually tell people, especially guys, my store's a little sparkly. Don't let that throw you off. Go ahead and come on in. I promise you're going to find something that you like.
100%. 100%. And there's such a variety that it blew me away. It just blew me away, because normally you get to that portion or a store like that, and they have like the same thing and 170 million of them.
Yes. Or it's the same thing that the other store has, because all the stores are ordering from the same places.
Same places.
Yes.
And so when you come into your store, not only is it sparkly, it's going to be different every time.
Yes. I have something new every day that I come in. And so if you came in to see me every day, I would be able to show you something new. And
that you don't get in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We've been at it for almost an hour.
Oh, time flies.
Yeah.
It's been great.
You have to check out Cassie Can Craft. You have to. This place is epic, Cassie.
Please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.